AEW women's figures are awesome. I wish they'd announce more. Oh. Who's this?
Hey, Major Aaron.
Thunder Rosa? How? Why did you FaceTime me?
I'm calling you because I heard how bummed you've been about the lack of women released in the AEW figure line.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, ever since the Comic-Con reveals and the lack of AEW women's figures announced, I've been down. I mean, listen to Coldplay and eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs down.
Well, I send you 2 of my unmatched figures. So quit being a baby and review them.
Oh, okay. Whatever you say, just please do not hurt me, Miss Rosa. Okay? But, you sent me 2 of your new figures? That's awesome. Come to think of it, I haven't gotten my mail in a couple weeks, so I better get on that.
Your goal of raising the respect level of women's wrestling figures in the collecting community has gone unnoticed.
You know what? You're right. I'm going to get up off my butt and I'm going to review women's wrestling figures again. You know why? Because these amazing women like yourself deserve all the respect and love in the world. You, my friend, have motivated me.
If you're lucky, maybe, just maybe, I will send you a Chase figure to review.
A Chase figure? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I'm cool. It's totally cool. So I used to have a Chase figure of yours, but come here, Alexa, she kind of ruined it.
Don't forget to have fun on this review.
I definitely will, Thunder Rosa. Thanks again so much for calling me and motivating me to get back up and do my best at reviewing these figures. I truly appreciate you.
And what's up with your face?
Well, that's not very nice. What do you mean, my face? Oh, I think I know what you're saying. Hold on, what's today? I don't know, no watch. I think it's Friday. And you know what that means? Thunder Rosa Face Paint Fridays.
Well, adios, amigo.
Adios. Wow. I can't believe Thunder Rosa called me. Hey, Dexy. You know what today is, right? Right on, Dexy. I knew you'd remember. Thunder Rosa Face Paint Fridays. Okay, I better go check my mail. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you to Thunder Rosa herself for being a part of today's video. It's been a big goal of mine since I started this channel to get a female wrestler involved in some way, shape, or form with LumberJillville. And I'm not talking about pay for a cameo and use it as an intro. I'm talking about to get a female talent to understand what I'm trying to do over here in LumberJillville and raise the respect level and love amongst women's wrestling figures in the collecting community, and to have them involved in the crazy antics that go on in LumberJillville. And thanks to her, I'm able to check that goal off my list. So Thunder Rosa, if you're watching, thank you so much for being involved in today's video. I can't even express how much I appreciate it and how much I care about that. And I hope you visit LumberJillville again very soon. Now, with that being said, I am here to review AEW Unmatched Series 7. You guessed it, Thunder Rosa herself. So we're going to take a closer look at this figure, but let's start off looking at the packaging. Alright, so starting off with the packaging here, I've said it once and I will say it again. In my opinion, AEW Jazwares has the best figure packaging out there. I just think it's not only cool in the design and shape of the package, but I think the color schemes are great. With Unmatched, we have the silver and black with that blue backdrop, and Unrivaled, we have a gold and black color scheme, and I just think they look great. And I actually prefer the Unmatched because not only do we have that metallic silver and black, but we have that blue backdrop that really makes the figure pop. So, love the packaging. Now, the figure itself here is positioned in the box very uniquely, looks very cool, and we can see already tons of accessories included with this figure. We also have an image of the beautiful Thunder Rosa on the front there. We have her name on the side, image on the side with the figure number and the series, and on the back we have a large image from the night that she wore this attire, which was Dark Elevation. We're getting into that next, but it's really cool how they include this large image of the superstar on the back, and this is just a badass image in my opinion. I think it looks great. So with that being said, I am going to open this figure up, and we're going to take a closer look. I'm going to open it up off camera because it makes a lot of noise, and it always looks like a massacre. I still haven't figured a way to open these up peacefully, so we'll be back. AEW Unmatched Series 7 Thunder Rosa. This attire is from the December 13th, 2021 episode of AEW Dark Elevation. On this night, Thunder Rosa would defeat Gabby Ortiz. Alright, so my overall first impressions of the figure are way better having it in hand and in person than when I first saw images of it online, because they obviously changed the face sculpt or face scan in some way, shape, or another. And I think the likeness isn't as good as her previous figures. And obviously we'll do an up-close look at the face sculpt and face scan in the next section here. But they definitely made some differences, and I was not a fan of how it looked online, but having it in front of me, it actually does look a lot better in person, honestly. So we'll take a closer look at the next step. But besides that, this figure definitely pops, definitely stands out, and anytime I can add a women's wrestling figure to my collection that stands out amongst the others, I'm ecstatic, and this one's no different. I mean, this looks amazing. It's in like Kill Bill inspired gear, it looks like, and yeah, it's just awesome. Now, she also comes with tons of accessories. Now, the number one accessory to me is this screaming face sculpt and scan. It's got tons of emotion to it. I just think it looks great. I love it. That's definitely how I'm going to be displaying this figure. But we'll take a closer look at this next. Now what we also get are some extra hands here. And then we get this flag. Now this is the same flag that was included in that Lights Out Match ringside exclusive, and it really does look great with this figure on display. So we'll display it a little later with that flag so you can kind of see what it looks like. But yeah, she comes with tons of goodies, tons of accessories. But as far as the figure goes, let's take a closer look, starting with that face sculpt and face scan. Alright, now when I first saw this face sculpt and face scan online in images, I wasn't a huge fan, especially compared to the sculpts and scans they've done on her previous figures. However, having this in front of me, I do think it's not as bad as the images look. I think there's something with this face sculpt, something with the scan that's a little bit off in my opinion. And I think the one thing that's really off is that face paint side. Something about that eye just seems so lifeless and doesn't look right. So there's something off about that side. I can't put my finger on it. But yeah, I am a fan of her previous face sculpts and scans. So this one I don't think is as good, but it is better in person, honestly. And I don't have a chase figure yet to see that series sculpt that they used on that figure to see if it's the same one they used here. But yeah, I'm not too crazy about this sculpt and scan, but I think it works okay. But that's okay because comes with an alternate face sculpt, and this is killer. I love it. I absolutely love this face sculpt. I think it looks awesome. You know, I've said this before. I love when I can have my women's wrestling figures have some type of emotion or something to really make them unique. And this is an awesome face sculpt. I think it looks great. I really do. I still think that face paint side, like, there's something off. There's something about it. I don't know what it is, y'all. Y'all have to tell me in the comments what you think. But something about that eye looks lifeless. There's something missing there. I don't understand. But I do think this sculpt works pretty darn good. Now, we will do a side-by-side comparison between this and her other figures later on in the video so it can really compare the faces. But I just want to give you an up-close look at these face sculpts and scans. And it's nice that we get this alternate sculpt because I prefer this one. And I think it looks really cool. Now, her hair has a lot of personality to it, a lot of uniqueness. And I think it's really cool. We have these two buns on top of her head here. And we have a lot of waves and curls in the sculpt going around. I do think it's still a little bit too light in color. It's like a hazelnut type brown. I'll be honest, I'm colorblind. I don't know what hazelnut brown is, but I think this is it. But I feel like it should be darker, and that's kind of the complaint I had with her other figures, is I feel like the hair should be a little bit darker. So here, it is still a little bit light, but the sculpt is pretty darn cool, and it does look great. Moving on down to the body sculpt and the attire, just like her previous figures, they absolutely knocked it out of the park with the body sculpt here. I think it's really cool that we even get like the extra sculpting on the backside there to make it accurate. I think that's really neat, and I'm not saying that in a weird way. I just think it's really cool when they give these figures personalities and make them as accurate to the superstars as possible, so that's definitely cool. And the attire itself just pops. It stands out. I mean, it is very vibrant. One thing I am going to say, I'm going to move this figure over here. There was a display shown at Comic-Con this past year from Jazwares and AEW, and there was a Thunder Rosa figure in the display case that had a goldish, metallic goldish color in combination with black. It looked like this figure, but it was metallic gold and black. And the figure we have here is just a flat matte yellow and black. So I don't know what that figure is, if it's a running change or if that's going to be a future release or what that is. But I just thought that was kind of interesting, because what we get here is just a yellow and a black. And if they were going with complete accuracy, this yellow would actually be like a metallic type yellow or a glittery, shimmery type yellow. But either way, it does really look cool and stand out. It's just not all that accurate. Now, something else I am going to say is this is supposed to be like a bodysuit. And what they did is they just painted over midsection that they probably used on her previous figures, maybe that Lights Out match figure or so, because there's not a whole lot of sculpting going on. Like, as you can see on this top, this high collar is just painted on. There's no ledge or anything sculpted on. No other sculpting in the top. We can even see the belly button, the dimpled belly button, the Victoria's Secret body paint belly button that I dread. Now, it isn't that noticeable because it is in the black coloration. The black kind of covers it up. And then we have the tights sculpted on. So that's kind of a weird looking thing. But all of those things you really don't notice if you're looking at it from a distance. But I do wish that was kind of smoothed out. Maybe we had some wrinkles or folds in this top to make it look like a bodysuit. Like a lot, kind of like what we get in the back. In the back we have a lot of wrinkles and folds sculpted in that material. So I think that's really, really cool. Nice little addition there. Now we have these arm sleeves that are just painted on. There's no sculpting involved with black and yellow accents. The top, we do have these vibrant yellow patterns, this lightning bolt on the front. Even on the back, we have this really cool logo in the back there. It's covered up by the hair, but it doesn't go unappreciated by me. It looks great. Moving on down, we have her thigh tattoo, which really does look good. We have these sculpted knee pads that allow a lot of mobility, actually. And then her kick pads and boots. Now, what's cool about the kick pads, if you look down here, they attach to what appears to be gold boots underneath. So it looks really, really cool. I love how that looks. So yeah, I do think this attire looks tremendous. I think it really does stand out, but I do wish it was a little more accurate. So now let's do a little side-by-side comparison between all of Thunder Rosa's figures released by AEW Jazwares. Now, I know she does have a chase out there, and I used to have a chase, but it got ruined by that heel, Comair Alexa. However, maybe it'll come in the future. But either way, these are the figures I have in front of me, and they're all drastically different in appearance in a good way. I love when a superstar has multiple figures and they're all very different. If you look at my Becky Lynch shelf I have so many Becky Lynch figures, and they all pretty much look the same. So it's cool that all of Thunder Rosa's figures so far have a very unique and distinct look to them, and they're all cool in their own ways. So on the far left, we have AEW Unrivaled Series 9. In the middle, we have that Lights Out ringside exclusive Blood and Guts Thunder Rosa. And on the right, we obviously have today's Unmatched Series 7 figure that we're looking at. And like I said, they all look drastically different. Now, this Unrivaled 9 is a true work of art. I think it's a gorgeous figure. Not only are the accessories awesome, we have that little headpiece there that is sculpted and painted in great detail. We have this shoulder vest with tassel sculpted on. And we have a very cool black attire with gold and silver accents. And it looks amazing. Now, this Lights Out Thunder Rosa that just fell over. This did come with a couple different heads, a couple different hands. And yeah, this obviously simulates that Lights Out match that she had with Britt Baker, legendary match. And it's really cool that we did get this figure in figure form. I absolutely love it. I think it's cool. Definitely has blood on it, so it stands out. And then we have today's. So like I said, they're all very different. But if I had to say which one I think is the best, not counting the chase, because that chase looks fantastic. It looks beautiful. But just with the figures in front of me, I think Unrivaled 9 is the best Thunder Rosa figure we have. I definitely think that the Blood and Guts one or the Lights Out match one is iconic. I think that's definitely one to keep MOC. Maybe try to get her to autograph it, because that moment is just, in history of women's wrestling, it is up there. And obviously today's definitely stands out and looks cool. But if I had to choose a favorite, I would, no joke, go with Unrivaled Series 9. I just think this figure looks beautiful on display. It is truly a work of art. But the other ones are cool also. So taking a closer look and really comparing and contrasting the different face sculpts and face scan used on Thunder, it's important to note that that chase figure does have a serious, kind of straight-faced sculpt and scan. It looks a lot like this head that came with the Unmatched 7, but it does look a little bit different, honestly, in the sculpt. But either way, we're just going to look at these ones that have emotion. Now, obviously, the first two are the same, if not very similar, where we have that kind of grimacing, very aggressive face sculpt, and I think it looks great. And this one with the tongue out is the first time we get that, and I really do like that. But let's just, for comparison's sake, move these a little bit closer to the camera and see if I can figure out what's off about that sculpt that we're looking at today. So, looking at the two, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because on the face paint of the Unrivaled 9, you can see eyelashes underneath. You can see a little bit more eye detail than this one, and that's why the eye looks a little bit off in today's figure. But they are very drastically different sculpts. But I do still prefer this Unrivaled 9 sculpt. And I almost prefer that chase sculpt too, from what I've seen images of. So, not saying that today's sculpt is bad. I actually think this tongue sticking out definitely gives a lot of character to it. But yeah, something seems a little bit off in my opinion. Now, real quick, I just wanted to show you how awesome this figure looks holding that flag behind her. I think it looks awesome. You can also hold it down in front of her, however you want to display it. But this flag makes this figure stand out even more, and it looks excellent. Now, I did use some double-sided Scotch adhesive there to keep the flags in place. It's kind of hard to keep it in the hands unless you bunch it up. And this flag is not double-sided, so that's kind of a letdown there. But it does look good if you display it properly and in the right position. So I just wanted to show y'all how cool it looks. Alright, articulation time, homies. So as far as the head goes, she can look down really well. She can look right, look left. Can't really look up because of that hair sculpt. The shoulder is on a ball joint, can move in all different directions. We have that kind of locking into place feeling that we get. It feels awesome. I really do like the joints on these AEW Jazwares figures. We have double jointed elbows, can really flex across the body and reach. We have a wrist swivel. We can extend and flex at the wrist. We have that upper torso swivel, can go in all different directions. We have a waist swivel. We have a thigh on a ball joint, can go in all different directions. Just can't really go back too much because the backside sculpt there. We have upper thigh swivel. The knee is double jointed, can really flex well. We have an upper boot swivel, and then the feet can planar flex down and dorsiflex up. It can't really rock side to side too well. See that? Yeah, the articulation is great. So overall, I give AEW Unmatched Series 7 Thunder Rosa an overall score of a 7.5 out of 10. This is definitely a solid figure, and I think it does really look cool. But in my honest opinion, I think there are better Thunder Rosa figures out there. I think that Unrivaled Series 9 is a near perfect figure. I think it is amazing. It is beautiful on display. And yeah, that's the one I would suggest if you're looking for one Thunder Rosa. However, like I mentioned, all her figures are very different, and this one's different in its own right, and I really do think it stands out. So the good, I really like that alternate head with the tongue out. I think that expression is awesome in figure form. I think the accessories are great, and the attire really does stand out. However, some of the negatives here, I think Jazwares took some shortcuts here with the attire. I do wish that that yellow on the attire had a metallic or a glittery type appearance to make it more accurate. I think that's kind of a letdown. There's also not a lot of sculpting in that top. It's kind of just painted on here. So yeah, I think there are some things they could have done to improve the figure. But like I said, in my opinion, I think there are better Thunder Rosa figures out there now. This is all sentiment aside, because in my honest opinion, sentimentally, within my heart, this might be my favorite figure of all time. My favorite figure in my collection, because this figure review, this figure here, is when Thunder Rosa appeared in LumberJillville. And that just makes my heart happy also. Sentimentally, I love this figure. It means a lot to me. But as far as the score, I think 7.5 is very fair. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For our first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV at checkout to save 10% on your next order of women's wrestling figures. There's a lot of really exciting content coming out to the channel soon, so make sure to stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and have a great night, y'all.